chapter. Cool. Okay. So, today I'm going to be streaming a Dungeons and Dragons session. Not a session per se, but what goes into preparing a session and what kind of things I've learned over the years, just little things I've done. I've never really done something like this before. I don't actually prepare my sessions, sit down and prepare them very often. But I feel like today would be a good day to try to show off what it takes, and show show what happens when I prepare for a session. I'm gonna try to get my chat ready. Still working on it. For some reason it's not pulling up immediately. Ah, here we are. Okay. Got no viewers yet, but that's okay. Unless my phone just hasn't updated yet. If you know me in real life and my phone hasn't updated, and like you send me a stream chat and I don't see it, let me know. That's a problem I can fix. Okay. Alright. Yeah, let's get started. So, first things first, I should probably explain what kind of session I'm preparing for and what's going into that. So, so the session, the campaign is a campaign between several DMs who all got together on the internet and thought, "Hey, it's going to be a good idea to play D&D with each other. We can learn from each other and teach each other." And so we do this thing where we do a 3 to 5 act session or session arc, and by the end of that session arc, the DM will have done their part, and then the players get teleported to another DM's world where they can then do another 3 to 5 session arc. And so for the players are currently level 3, and they will be transported to my world, my personal home world of Arla. Arla is described in very simple and brief terms: Moab cowboy steampunk, which sounds pretty cool on its surface, not gonna lie. But it's one of the first worlds I've ever created, and is one that I'm personally very passionate about. And so with Arla, I really want to do it justice to these DMs who are joining me. Some examples of DMs who are part of this campaign: Famous Hippopotamus, moderator of D&D Behind the Screen. We got Pantheropus Niger. She's also a moderator of D&D Behind the Screen. Hippopotamus created D&D Behind the Screen. We got Pagan. Let me pull up the Discord and so I can peep on their names. And if you know you're a part of this campaign, please don't please don't watch this video. Thanks for the hosts, Sam. All right, Gallican campaign. We've got Rexicon Jesse, Pagan Unicorn. We got Mamirian, Pantheropus Rufus Niger, and we got. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Mamirian, Panther. Maybe not. These are all the people who are part of the Saturday campaign. And let me quickly describe what their characters are like. And I'll actually type that out on here so that way we have an idea. Maybe I have a page for them. I do. Gallican campaign. We got characters. Foofy Boo. Wait, was he part of our campaign? All right, I'm cussing him out because he's part of the Thursday campaign, and I don't care about Thursday campaign. Pagan Unicorn. That's the... Yeah, we got Pagan Unicorn, Pantheropus, me, Hippo, Mamirian. Mamirian's character died, so he changed it to be... Let's see... Oh, is Fenririan playing? Remember, there's no currency. Wait. Oh! Mem, why'd you change it? Okay. Let me quickly check it out. So Mammarian's going to be playing a bard. So I'm going to write that down. Just bard. Okay. So here's our party as we have it right now. Pagan Unicorn. He was the DM of the last 3 sessions, and the world that we came from was a Ice Age post-apocalyptic setting. It used to be this very high-tech setting with a lot of powerful equipment and items, and what happened was the world somehow got destroyed, and it went into apocalyptic setting, and now we have an ice age. With And with that setting, a lot of monster races are the big thing. For example, gnolls are huge and sentient in that race. They aren't bloodthirsty, crazy Yinahu murderers. You've got wizards that think they know a lot, but really they don't know that much. Like, you show them a magic item, they'll be like, "Oh, I know what this is," when really it's like a phone, and they don't know what a phone is. And it's just a big setting. There's a bunch of like automatons that are still traversing the world. One that's traveling with like a superpowered laser gun. Lots of them have those. So the party now has a mining laser. That's pretty exciting. But that's the world that we just came from, and is also the world where Pagan Unicorn's character is coming from, which is the catfolk scrap mechanic with a polearm. And the polearm is probably just random scraps that they're holding. So that's pretty cool. Panther, her character is a lizard folk samurai who wields glorious Nippon steel. She comes from her own homebrew setting. All our characters come from our own homebrew settings. It's quite entertaining. And her character is a lizard folk, but not in the traditional sense. The lizard folk in Panther's world are all very, very detailed. At least the thing is, I need to watch this later because I play a lot of Smash Bros. Sorry, let me pause that, like this video, and throw it away. Okay. Alright. I'm going to find Panther Rofus Niger Lizard Folk. Because she made a fantastic post this other day talking about it. Lizard Folk, a surprising complex race. Please check this out if you want to learn more about Panther's version of Lizard Folk. It's honestly really cool, and it's taught me a lot about how I should treat monster races in my setting, and how they can be much cooler than the monster manual puts them out to be. So we got this lizard folk samurai. Check that out for more information. Then we've got a flesh golem paladin, basically the gentle giant. He is horrifically ugly. He has 30 faces sewn into him. He's got little meat bag pockets that we put various things in, and is just an animated flesh golem, basically. But he's a gentle giant, so he is very sweet, very caring, protective of everyone, and is a paladin, and is seeking to be the best thing he can personally be. And so his character is really sweet. However, in the last session, one of our other characters, Mimirian, was playing a child that Jesse's character swore to protect. And it didn't end up well. There's a great quest. This is why you should never trust a monster, however kind they might appear, because they forget they were a guardian to a child and leave it to sizzle 5 feet away from them. Sad affair, really. So, Mimirian's child character got killed in the last session because Jesse didn't do a good enough job of protecting Mim. And so he's making a new character, and Jesse's character is now going to have to deal with the anguish and pain of letting one of his characters that he was under protection of die when he was literally 5 feet away and could have done something about it and chose not to. I am playing a Drow Elven Bladesinger from my campaign, or from my home world, except it's on the other side of the continent. It's the Drow world of, instead of just being like under dark and scary, it's mountains and bleak weather, so London. And it has bleak weather, and it has this one NPC known as the Raven Queen, which is just which is basically their version of Lolth. And the politics there are intense. If you can use Charm Person on somebody and get away with it, and they fall underneath your charm, you won that political exchange. And even though you can literally say during that Charm Person, I will sign away my rights and all my deeds to you, and then come out of the charm knowing, hey, I've been charmed. Tough luck, buddy. You said it. And if they were strong enough to charm you, you were too weak to deserve the items that you had. So that's the part of the setting that my Drow comes from. But Arla is bigger than just that one little corner of the world, and the corner that they are going to is Silver Mesa, which is the capital of the Brennan Desert. So it's this big desert. Silver Mesa is just a mesa that a bunch of trade and commerce and goods developed around. And now that they have Silver Mesa, they everybody just kind of goes there. And there's a lot of politics in Silver Mesa as well. There's several dozens of noble houses even that all have different agendas. They all have rivalries and allies within themselves, and these nobles control Arla through that. Then we got famous Hippopotamus' character. He is playing a naked dwarven druid. It's quite an entertaining character. I can't really say much about it. He's only been there for half a session so far. And for Mimirian, he's making a bard, along the veins of Dr. Facilier. I don't know if that's actually his name, but I know he was a great villain in Princess of the Frog and had some pretty kick-ass songs. So I'm excited to see what Mim comes up with. All right, so that's the characters out of the way. The events of the last few sessions, I should probably write that down. All right, let me add another page. Session log. First, before I write this down, I'm going to get a drink of water. Be right back. Water's pretty good. Alright, so session 1, we get teleported to the Ice Age. We have a sphere in our hands and don't know what to do with it. I should probably mention one more thing. The overarching villain connection, basically the reason why we get teleported to different campaigns over and over again. We have this thing that we decided to just call the machine. It's our MacGuffin. The MacGuffin is an object, a small object, orb, or gem. We all have rings that connect us to it, and it splats us wherever it wants to. It can change its appearance, and it could be the BBEG, Big Bad Evil Guy. We haven't decided that yet. It changes how it approaches the campaign based on who the DM is, or it could also just drop people in with no explanation. That's what happened on our last session, and, our first session ever. Our DM, Pagan Unicorn, which he did a good job DMing, except he had one fatal mistake, and that mistake was dropping us in to a campaign that we had no idea what was going on, and expected us to just figure things out. And that can work, but the problem was it threw off the pacing really bad. We it just became an endless fetch quest where we would go and talk to this NPC who would say go talk to this NPC who would say go talk to this NPC, and we spent 3 hours doing nothing ultimately, and so that hurt the campaign, I'd say. Um, it hurt his few sessions, and so in my sessions, when I figure out what I want the machine to do, I want it to give him a sense of directions and be like, you need this object. Um, you need to do this thing, and then I will let you return back to your home planes. All right. It changes how it approaches the campaign. Yep, I read that. Two options. You either keep the same equipment no matter what setting you're from. So let's say you go from super sci-fi setting to I don't know, generic fantasy setting. Sure, you have a ray gun. Yeah, you have a ray gun in the new setting as well. Or the MacGuffin changes your items each time as he teleports. Again, this is up to GM dependent. Personally, I think the items should stay the same. I think having our characters be a mishmash of a bunch of different magic items is kind of cool. And so when I give them magic items in this realm, it should stick to the same items from elsewhere. Okay. Be reasonable as the DM. Don't be a dick and ask the players before you take away any items. The MacGuffin can put a glamour on items to disguise them. So that was the other thing. Make them blend in with the setting. The MacGuffin is an intelligent item with an unknown agenda. The circumstances of transporting is dependent on the DM. Level 1 to 2, we decided we would level up after one session. Level 3 to 5, we would level up after an arc. So this should be so my players just barely hit level 3. So by the end of my session or my arc, they should be level 4. Preferably in my own campaigns, I like to level up characters much faster because I'm an impatient DM and I love watching players level up because it means I get to throw more cool monsters at them. But I don't get to do that here, so we're just going to stick with level 3, and the entire arc, they are going to be level 3. And that's what we have about the MacGuffin, the machine as we like to call it. So, going back to our session log. Session 1, we get teleported to Ice Age. We have a sphere in our hands and don't know what to do with it. We talk to a Null who says, it's actually more than that. We talk to some humans who say, talk to the Null, who says, talk to the Wizard, who says, talk to the better Wizard. Yeah, that first session was not very interesting. Oh, excuse me. Okay, session 2 got better. Session 2, we talk to the better Wizard, who is actually a robot, and travel through a very extensive maze. And the way he did the maze was kind of cool. He had a deck of cards, and would put 3 cards out in front of us, all face down, and would say, okay, yeah, you come to a fork. There's 4 passageways. Choose one. And we'd choose one, and it would say dead end. We'd choose one and say monster, or we'd choose one and say treasure. Hey, you found a map. You have 6 uses of revealing what card is underneath. It was pretty cool. I liked it. And it simulated being lost. So we talked to the better wizard, who's actually a robot, and traveled through a very extensive maze. The maze was a little too long for my personal taste, but that's besides the point. Who was actually a robot, and traveled through a very extensive maze, and meet many NPCs and monsters. Get a mining laser. And then on our 3rd session, we actually finished the maze. We finished the maze and find the source of what the machine... And we find the rocket. Hey, Deathlike Coast 2. Monsters, you say? Yeah, the monsters we found were... What did we find? It was 2 weeks ago we did this session, so I'm not remembering exactly, but I do know the NPC we found. It was like this one mantis lady. Like, think of someone from Hollow Knight, who had been collecting a bunch of junk from the area, and she was basically a shopkeep in the middle of the maze. So that was kind of cool. Um, so yeah, we get our mining laser. We finish the maze, find the rocket that the machine wants us to find. We activate it and get sent off to space. Only know Pathfinder and Starfinder. Well, if you know Pathfinder, you should know this pretty easily. This is so. What I want to say is that this is a campaign between several DMs who are constantly exchanging the mantle of DM. So these last 3 sessions were with our other DM, Pagan Unicorn, and these next 3 sessions are going to be with me. And so I'm just writing down what he did in the last few sessions, so that way I have an idea of what to look back on and get an idea. We activate it and go to outer space. We then get teleported back to our home planes. Yeah. Also, the child Mim dies. So if you have any questions, because this is a pretty confusing process, I'm not going to lie. I spent the first 20 minutes or so explaining how this Galking campaign actually works, but I am more than happy to explain anything that you might have missed, because you might have tuned in late. But we're moving on to my session, session 4, which is going to be the Arla session. So quick recap on Arla. It is Moab, as in Utah Moab, but with steampunk cowboys. That's the description. And it's my home campaign. I actually have a wiki for it. It's kind of fun. Let's check it out. Arla. This is a terrible wiki. I haven't updated it in years. I made this back in high school, and it's something else. But this is home. And so the last campaign I had in this world ended up being a level 1 through 20 campaign, and ended with some pretty cool stuff. But for my campaign, for my arc that I'm doing, so levels 3 to 4, 3 sessions, I'm going to be setting the players in a place known as Silver Mesa, which is one of my most extensively developed portions of my world, which is found right here. That is Silver Mesa. So Silver Mesa is the technology center of the world. It's where a bunch of noble houses got together, and the way the politics works in the city is if you own a noble house, that basically means you're a merchant who has some goods that you produce. For example, the House of Downstar produces luxury goods, and because luxury goods are really popular right now, they have more power and can persuade more with what they are saying. And so, based off 2 steps, yeah, I love 2 steps from hell. In fact, why aren't I playing any? Yeah, I'm not going to be uploading this to YouTube. I don't have to worry about copyright. Okay, let's go with, yeah. Some Pokemon music might come on. Can you hear this music? I actually don't know. I just realized you probably can't hear it because it's in my head. Let me know. Deathlight Coast. Anyways, but getting distracted. Yeah, Arla. Steampunk Cowboys. And so last time my players were here, or at least when they were level 3-ish, level 3 to 5-ish when they were here, so we'll go check out the adventure log for them, we had some interesting sessions. So, let's see. Oh, I remember. Oh, this is so many old memories coming back. Don't hear it? Ah, that's too bad. I don't know how to play music for you guys. Desktop audio device. don't know what I'm doing. I'm still kind of new to the streaming business. Also, thanks for the follow. I didn't catch that on my phone here. But if you know a way to get it so that way you can listen to some music as well, I would love to do that for you guys. Anywho, so when my party first went to Silver Mesa years ago, back in high school, um, what they did was they first started the campaign in a small little town where they cleared out the rats. I stream off my PS4. It's impossible for me to play my own music. That's too bad. Yeah, like if I wasn't using this headset right now and I just had like a mic here, then maybe I could do that. But I don't have that kind of money. All right. But when my party first came here several years ago, they came from this small little town where they killed the rats, and then they came to Silver Mesa, the capital city, basically the New York City or some other huge city. And they went here. They were attacked by the mafia, because they were trespassing. Honestly, the reason they attacked the mafia, there was no reason back then. I wasn't that good of a DM. The mafia just attacked them because I wanted someone to attack them. So they attacked them. The constables came by. The noble stepped up, stopped the constable, and said that he could handle the party. Yeah, the constable couldn't do anything because the noble said that when nobles hold so much power that even the police can't do anything about them. That's an important detail that I've forgotten about after all these years. So the noble that chastised them turned out to be Lord Ferrith Fletchridge, which, if I still have my wiki page of him, he's actually a dragon, just polymorphed as a human, and just enjoying his time as nobility, basically. So I really enjoyed that little detail about him, and revealing that he was a dragon was a great moment. But yeah, so he offered them a quest to go to the Red Canyon and collect some special crystal for him. So the party accepted, blah blah blah. And so they basically forget all this stuff. They took a train, headed down to the Red Canyon, where they met a dragon who guards the canyon. And they went exploring inside the canyon. Eventually, found the cave. Inside the cave, they found the crystals. One of the crystals was actually disguised as a mimic. Fun enough. And once they finished that, they also had a fight on a train. So, as for me and what I want from my 3 sessions in Arla for these other DMs who are playing with me, I want... I could probably just make a new page. Okay. Arla sessions. First, I want to fight on a train. Is it cliche? Absolutely. Is it awesome? Yes. And I just watched Cowboy Bebop last night and saw them fight on a train, and I thought it was awesome. And so I want that as well. Other things I want them to see. I want them to see the nobility in the world. The noble houses are one of my favorite things about Arla, about Silver Mesa specifically. And the complexity I've developed with all the houses was one of my favorite parts of world building. And so going back to that and making it even more complex and better. Oh, hey, Sam. Thanks for finally showing up. Also, good news. I proposed to Emily last night. So, pretty awesome. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for D&D. I just wanted to let you know that. Another thing that I want them to see from this world, let's see. I want them to see like the coolness of like Moab. Moab's pretty sweet, and I love the what's it called? The nature in Moab. I love the way the mesas are all super big. Like, if you guys don't know what Moab is, I'm just gonna go find it. It's gorgeous. I love Moab. All right, that's what Silver Mesa, or that's what this desert looks like, at least in my mind. Arches. We got arches. We got mesas. We've got plateaus, buttes, everything. Um, so being able to make this into my world was really exciting and was one of my favorite parts. So I want to show off the cool architecture. Well, sort of, not architecture. Um, so I want to show off Moab. I'm going to turn the music down just a little bit, at least for me. Other things that I would want to show them about my campaign. What makes a steampunk cowboy? I guess I need to show off. It's actually Magitech cowboy, technically. So, Magitech cowboys. And a good example of that was actually one of the final sessions of my campaign, where the party decided to come back to Silver Mesa to go fight the dictator. That was one of the NPC's dad, Lord Guardway. But anyways, yeah, there's music in my headphones. I couldn't get it. Wait, Sam, do you know how to get music to play for the stream so that way I can hear it and y'all can hear it? Because if I can do that, that'd be pretty sweet. Because the only way I can know to do that is remove my microphone, my headset, and have it play out of my computer. But yeah, okay. How do I do that? Tell me. I'd love for you guys to hear some 2 Steps from Hell. Change the audio device set text to send to on the computer. Do I do that through Streamlabs? Mixer? Yeah, I'm using Streamlabs OBS. Let's see. Where do I go? Right there? Okay. Oh. Interesting. I don't understand any of this. Monitor off, monitor off. It's not helping. Create output projector. Whoa. I don't think I meant to do that. Okay, we're getting rid of that. Properties. Speakers. Okay. Can you guys hear now? If you guys can hear some chanting in the background, then that means we're good. Doesn't look like it though. I should have done it. Yeah, it's playing in my headphones, but it's not playing anywhere else. You can see if it's sending, you're right. Ah, well. Thanks for coming, by the way. Oh, there it is. Cool. Other things. So I want to show off how they're Magitech. Where I was going with that earlier rant. What happened? Wait. It's all black. Oh God. How did I do that? You can still hear me, right? Okay. I don't know what's going on. Oh, okay. Fixed it. Somehow I switched to scene mode. Yeah, it's fixed now. Okay. Anyways, back to Magitech Cowboys. So what I ended up doing was the dictator had figured out how to use Firebolt, the cantrip that recharges every 6 seconds, and Shocking Hands, another cantrip that you can use infinitely. I figured out that with those two cantrips, you can make tanks. And so I had someone who was sitting there constantly using Shocking Hands to move a tank, while the person in the cockpit of the tank would use Firebolt to shoot. And that was how the tank worked. And that tank was honestly pretty awesome. And my players were so confused when it first showed up. When I said, "All right, guys, you're fighting tanks," they didn't know what to expect. And then I had the tanks roll around, and then eventually they killed the tank. Looked inside, and it was like, "Oh, it's two people." Oh, they were casting cantrips, and it was pretty great. So, examples of how magic is used reasonably within a setting, to the point where it's no longer fantasy but closer to modern. That's the kind of effect that I want to get at. Now, here's a question that I have, and I'm going to ask you guys in the stream. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the headphones, but I have a question for you guys in the stream. There are 3 different points I can put the players in on my timeline. Point 1, they can go into the timeline before a dictator came by. So this is when the noble houses are all still vying for power. You have a free market, and it's survival of the fittest sort of thing in terms of politics. Point 2 in the timeline, there's a dictatorship. There is a resistance group led by this one guy named Bones, who was a villain of the players that eventually turned into their ally. Classic stuff. But there's a dictatorship. The dictator is Lord Guardway. He is a really powerful fighter. He ran the mercenary company, and eventually turned it into the dictatorship, and uses his soldiers to constantly patrol the streets of Silver Mesa, and doesn't allow unmonitored trade, and it's just a dictatorship. Like, I don't know how I should keep. I'm still talking. Then the third point of contention, we have post campaign, which is what happens when the party comes in on their army of giant flying purple worms, has a huge fight on top of the mesa where 2 dragons duke it out. One of those dragons being the players. Man, this was a really awesome campaign. And these players are all duking it out. Orkinos, sorry. That's and eventually they break the mesa that they are standing on. The mesa that is this massive city. They break it. It all collapses. They kill Lord Guardway. Everyone's happy, and life is good. But then you have the prospect of hundreds of thousands of people losing their homes because the mesa broke, and you've got that whole situation. So while you guys vote on that in the chat, I'm gonna get more water. I'm doing this kind of stream means I am talking a lot. So 1 second. Personally, I think the version of Arla that I am most interested in exploring, and honestly, I probably should do this if I'm interested in exploring it, no matter what other people say. I'm interested in exploring the dictatorship version of Arla, where we went from a political society of nobles, multiple nobles, to one man ruling everything. So I want to show off what it feels like to live underneath a dictatorship. Oh, hey, Big Sky. That's the song I'm listening to right now, and this is probably the song that inspired Arla for me. Well, it didn't really. That's another story. Regardless, Big Sky. You know what? Actually, I can do this. My friend made me a video. Dagan, I don't think any of you know him in real life. He made me a video showing off Arla. He took a bunch of anime openings and and made this video for me, and I just barely remembered it. And it was a video showing off our campaign, uh, and was honestly really cool. So I'm gonna scroll all the way down here to the very beginning of my YouTube private video. Was that it? Never mind. But it was a video of Big Sky, and it showed off our campaign in a really sweet way. But I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. I'll quickly check my email real fast and see if I can find it through there, because honestly, it's really cool, and I want to show it to you guys. He just made it for me because he was passionate about this campaign. Okay, let me go see if I can find it. Arla 2.0. Nope, that's not it. Campaign log, Samaria campaign. My campaign log. Smash and burn. Nope. None of this is right. Alright. Okay, we're not gonna go find that YouTube video. But yeah. Unless this is it. No. Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry, I'm obsessing over this. Big Sky's a good song, though. Listen to it. But yeah, back to this. So the next step. So now that I have several things that I want to show off, I should probably mention what Orcanos is. Okay, Orcanos. Orcanos is a donut shop run by orcs. It's cute. It's my reoccurring shop, basically. I should make it into a chain. That makes a lot of sense. Anywho. So the thing that I need to figure out is what the machine wants. Now, Sam, I don't think you were here for this one, but the machine is the MacGuffin that transports us to different planes, so that way multiple DMs can run the same campaign. That's the idea. The MacGuffin, however, has an agenda that it wants us to work on. And this agenda is unknown to us at the moment. Even the DMs who are working on stuff right now, it's unknown. But it wants us to do things. In our last 3-arc session, or in our last 3-session arc, we launched a rocket into outer space. So, figuring out what we want to do in Arla. Oh, I know what I gotta do. I gotta figure out how to combine magic with technology in a way that is devious, but interesting. Another thing to note about the main villain. He had a disease that was slowly killing one of the character's love interests. And this disease, let me see if I can find this. Adventure log, yeah, that's where I want to go. Battle with Namfoodle. Oh yeah, I remember him. Water is amazing. They find the dagger that gave people the plague. Renal cuts himself once, then twice with the dagger, giving him the disease and then taking it away. Gamble then teleports him to Requia, his girlfriend basically, where he is able to save her. Okay. So the plague was actually discovered in Limbo. Learn how to use a plane. Travel Zareth in an adamantine submarine. That could be a song. Learn where Zazarin is living. Travel there and learn Guardway invented the plague. The Plague of Eridoom. I remember now. Yes. The Plague of Eridoom. Sorry, that was loud. Plague of Eridoom. Yeah. Alright. This was Dagon's character. Pretty sweet. I think that's a character from an anime. I don't remember the name of the anime, but I know it's a character from an anime. Berserk is his name. Anywho. He has a big backstory. I was proud of him. He was a good player. Then in here we have Into Chaos. Oh, I'm not reading all of this. Eridoom. They went into the city to relax and soon found the milk bar. I remember that now. They spent some time there until the Lich came back with his beholder, now named Pupils. Lich saw something was bothering Vernau and asked him what was wrong. Vernau explained that he was concerned about the plague of Eridoom. The Lich made a funny face, saying he knew that word and left to go research it. Came back to the city and went looking for Vernau. Oh yeah, I remember the friendly Lich now. Man, this campaign was old. He knew of the Plague of Eridoom. He talked about a guy known as Zazarin, who was a big hotshot cleric of 400 years ago, who in his efforts to cure a disease, made another disease on accident. The new disease spread through open wounds and shortened a person's lifespan by a significant amount, and made them weak for the rest of their life. Some hobgoblins caught wind of this and used it in war, as it would weaken the enemy soldiers immediately after a single cut. It died off with the hobgoblins in the Eridoom Wars, and he then told Vernau about how he used to know where Zazarin used to live, pointed out on the map. He then left, teleporting out the market square. Yeah. So, Plague of Eridoom. If you're an elf, your lifespan goes from 1,000 years to maybe 100. How old was this guy? Oh, he has a huge backstory. Age 31. Actually, she was probably going to die in a year. Yeah, that's what was happening. She was going to die in a year. So the Plague of Eridoom significantly weakens people, and then will kill them in a year. In terms of battle, just cutting someone with this plague would end up... just cutting someone with the dagger that's infested with the plague would be enough to incapacitate them combatively for the rest of their life. And sure, they may die in a year, but that's fine. As long as you can cut them once, you have gained the upper hand. And so, it's a pretty brutal plague. And I think I know what session I want to do now. Alright. The machine wants them to get the Plague of Eridoom, which is kept in a vault inside the main castle, which is guarded by lots and lots of people. The party is going to have to work with Bones, who is a cleric who can basically metal bend, or at least make things fly around him. Bones isn't exactly a good person, though, and has a short temper, but he is the leader of the resistance, Is it really just called the Resistance? I really hope not. I hope I'm more creative than that. Arla Sessions. I want to put Bones on here. Because he was honestly a cool NPC. At least I thought he was cool. The players hated his guts, which meant he was a cool NPC. Let's see. Bones stood up and gave... Session 4 was right before shit hit the fan. Attack of the Bears. Yeah, that was funny. Alright. Andrew had decided that they needed a musician. Rutherson Ball. Right, they did crash the ball. The bad guys crashed the ball. Let's see. Renaud and Zant went to investigate the rumor of a second meeting. They split up and went to go find different things. Renaud went to the Speaker's Cliff, Zant explored the lower city, and Ander went to the upper city. Renaud got the first clue, which was a sign pointing to the abandoned Nochlin prison. He went in and got to go to the prison with the other initiates. They locked the door behind them, and the person from before, known as Bones, gave another speech, more scandalous than the first. So Bones was giving speeches out in the common area, discrediting the nobles and telling them how awful they all are. Okay. He was told the Rutherson Ball. Ander had decided that they needed... The meeting for the Faceless. Oh, that's the name of them. The Faceless. Bones/Faceless. I initially made these guys to be more like Team Rocket, in that they are dangerous but incompetent. I just ended up making them dangerous. This is basically the Mafia. Soon after they arrived, Andrew got a lot of weird stares for his costume. Oh yeah, he was in a bear costume. I don't remember why. Okay. The crowd quieted down when someone climbed on the podium. He wore a white mask with 2 slits for eyes and 2 dice where his mouth would be. He wore an untucked dress shirt and had 2 braces on his arms with even more dice. He began his speech lamenting the nobility and their ability to govern. He talked of the attention that the peasants received and vowed to bring change to the city. During his talk, Andrew decided to send a message to him. Yeah. So his speech was just talking about how the nobility needs to go down. And he wasn't wrong. The nobility ended up turning the city into a dictatorship. However, his methods were violent. Let's see. This was such a weird session. Why did they all get bear suits? Anyways, willed the walls itself to attack the barrels. A whirlwind of dust, metal, rocks, and wood flew around them, shredding the mercenaries and severely injuring Ander and John. At this moment, Zant threw a dagger at the Bones and broke the cheek off his mask. Ooh, that's a good detail. Mask has broken cheekbone. I can't spell cheek. Cheekbone. Cool. Good detail. I'm glad I wrote this all down. He stopped the spell and went to kill Zant, even angrier than before. Renaud tried to passively stop him. His position would be compromised otherwise, and was smacked in the face by Bones. Right, because he got in there secretly. The cops will be coming soon. He electrocuted the mercenary corpse. I at least have someone to kill. Let's see. So, the big deal is the Faceless are the resistance group. And now that they're all given masks and stuff, and all these crazy things. Oh yeah, I should probably mention Squid Coons, because those were pretty great. Squid Coons. It's exactly what it sounds like on the tin. We're going to go with Session 5. There we go. This is when things went crazy. Friends are not always what they appear. So, The last session ended with assassins killing Lord Foxward, who was in charge of the dam, and was one of the main nobles helping the uh, lower classes. The assassin shot him 3 times in the gut after a mysterious monk had attacked him. The adventurers began to chase off the assassins with the guns. Let's see. They tried to slow down the heroes. Blah, 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 blah. I really don't care. Nobles and police soon arrived on scene. The nobles were aghast at the sight of dead bodies, and the police questioned the 3 out here. They were soon let go, and the last changeling taken away in the cop car. Oh yeah, they were changelings, right? They went over to the Fletchridge mansion and stayed the night, and the following morning the media went crazy about the potential involvement of Spenstone and Fletchridge in the assassination of Lord Foxward. Rumors spread like wildfire, and soon the entire city believed that one of these two had plotted the assassination of Foxward. So, public relations toward before Fletchridge, which was a good noble. Fletchridge public. I spelled that wrong. Fletchridge public reception equals negative. They believe that he killed Lord Foxward. Okay. Out of the two, Spenstone was the one to gain the most from Foxward's death. Foxward controlled the canals and Spenstone the ground trade routes. However, Fletchrid had brought armed people to the party who were not afraid to kill off the assassins. Could have been a cover-up in disguise. The remaining assassin refused to talk, and no information could be pried from him. Da 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 da. They helped some people in the city. They returned back to the mansion and heard about another faceless meeting going on. It was another public meeting where the faceless stood around Speaker's Cliff. Bones stood up and gave a speech about how awful it was that an innocent noble was killed by the other savages that called themselves our leaders. He also spoke about how much the city needed reform and that in its current state, more atrocities would be committed. The second meeting went on the next day in secret at the Knockland prison. They talked about how King Ostergard, oh yeah, he was the senile king that was still ruling, he was going to give a speech about the death of Foxward and how this was their chance to change the city. They had a plan where the main force of soldiers would go and commandeer a shop that is close to the park where he was giving his speech. Then 5 faceless would go out into the crowd and would shoot off a gun at a time in the speech when it would become offensive. The party heard about this and developed their own plan. Because they knew that the old senile man was not capable of doing a good speech. And he wasn't. He did a terrible speech. The following day, the party would watch out for the 5 faceless that would be leaving the shop. They would then send out some mercenaries that Fernell was friends with to kill the 5 stealthily and prevent the guns from going off. All was going to plan until one of the mercenaries misplaced a knife and allowed blood to squirt out of the faceless. This began a panic throughout the crowd. The king did not notice because he'd gone crazy with age and was lost in his own world. He offended a lot of nobility because of that. The panic grew quickly, and when officers came into the crowd, they attempted to stop everyone by shooting a gun in the air. Because of this, faceless emerged from the building, dressed up in Spenstone's colors. At this point, all the nobles began fighting each other with their armies. Vernal joined Guardway and killed off all the imposter faceless soldiers. He then saw segments of Guardway army traveling through the city of various mansions in the city. One of those mansions included Downstar. So, Downstar was where his girlfriend was, Requia. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. They fight. They protected the Fletchridge mansion, which didn't go over very well. Fletchridge told them passageway. They ran into the passageway. Fletchridge presumed to be dead. That's different. Fletchridge presumed dead. Because they escaped through the back door. So yeah, Fletchridge turns into a dragon after all shit breaks loose. The party's like, we got a dragon, that's cool. It was. Okay. Okay. So what does the machine want? The machine wants the Plague of Eridum. This plague weakens individuals immediately after being cut, and then will slowly kill them in 1 year. Yeah. The party must sneak into the fortress that is Guardway Mansion. Well, actually, mansion / castle under construction for the big party. Okay. Next thing that happens. What else does a party need? Story beats that I want to hit. They're all going to be level 3 for the entirety of this arc. So I don't want to go nuts. I do want to fight on a train, though, because that's just cool. Magic Cowboys. Oh, God, what did I just Google? No! D&D Cowboys. That's better. Cowboys and aliens. Gunslinger. Wild West setting for D&D. Yeah. It's kind of what this is, but not really. It's closer to Eberron. Yeah, that's the picture. That's the picture I love. Oh, I need a bigger picture. Search Google for image. What? Fine, I will type in Magitech. Although Warforged are cool. Warforged do not exist in this setting yet, but they are in the process of being created. Ugh. Magic Punk? Is that what it was? Magic Punk. Where's the TV tropes? That's the one that has the pictures that I want. Dungeon Punk. There we go. That's what I type in. Dungeon Punk. There it is. That's the picture that I love. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, the trains. They were powered by the 3rd level spell, Shoot Lightning. Sweet. Okay. We are saving this image permanently because I need to save this image. It's awesome. Pictures. Saved pictures. I don't know. Fan art. Cereal box DM scream. Oh man. Okay. We're saving this as Dungeon Punk. Because this is what I imagine when I think of my setting. Maybe minus the airships and the Warforged. But it's close enough. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Okay. But yeah, this is the picture that got me most excited about my campaign. Okay, back to this. Squid Coons. Yeah, those all broke loose. I remember that now. Bones / Faceless. I need to need another one. Story beats. I'm gonna move that over here. There we go. Story beats. But they are going to be told that the machine needs the plague. Although, that makes it sound ominous. Except it's called the plague. I don't know. I'll figure out something for that to say. Some riddle, because riddles are fantastic. They will show up in Dictator Arla. Well, Silver Mesa. Silver Mesa. They will eventually discover the Faceless. And presumably join them. The thing about D&D that you need to be aware of is you can't assume anything that the players are going to do. You can only know that they will, you can engineer certain events to happen no matter what. The world is going to end in 20 days. That's within your realm of power. However, you cannot say the party will become friends with this faction. Will they discover the Faceless? Yes, I can engineer it and subtly guide them to eventually meet the Faceless. However, I cannot make them like the Faceless nor join the Faceless. That is entirely their decision. And if I base my entire session around the very specific point of them joining this rebel group that is not entirely morally gray, if I based everything on that, then that'd be a bad idea. So I'm not doing that. However, they are likely to join the Faceless because the Faceless are the only organization with any semblance of power, and they need to sneak into a supermassive mansion in order to get the plague. How they're going to do that, I don't know. I don't plan that far ahead. But what I do know is that they need to go find some stuff about that. Anywho, scrolls Discord. Why did I click on this? Okay. So they will eventually discover the Faceless, presumably join them, but it's not at all vital that they join the Faceless. Somehow, I want to work in a train fight, and to do that, I'm going to have them take the lightning train, which will probably take them to Red Canyon. So, maybe throw in there somehow that they need the crystals from the Crystal Cavern as well. That's less important. But there will be a train fight. How and when does not matter. Although, if I do want to tie it into the rest of the campaign. I just really love train fights. They're so cool. But if I want to tie it into the rest of the campaign, how do I do that? What do I need to do? Oh, they have a mining laser. If they use that on the train, that'd be hilarious. Probably very bad, but also hilarious. How can I tie that in? Maybe not in the first session. The first session will just be them meeting the Faceless. And the Faceless are probably going to ask that they go and get... to prove their loyalty, they need the crystals from the cave in the Red Canyon. And previously, this canyon was free to explore, or at least free as long as you ignored the red tape. But thanks to Mr. Gardway and his increase in security, that becomes much more difficult. And exploring the canyon is not only a matter of avoiding the cyclops that live in the canyon and their cyclops eggs. That was its own fun thing. And I'm going to make a shack. Shack, another thing that I'd like for happen. Maybe to get crystals for the faceless. And maybe we could tie it in where I know what's going to happen. If they do end up going down the crystal route and get the crystals for the faceless, so that way the faceless have more firepower, on their way back, riding the train back to the main city, the guards will search them. And when they find the crystals, the guards will take the crystals. And the players aren't going to like that. Ooh. Will search and take away the crystals from the party if they succeed on taking it. And if they don't take them, that's fine too. If the players can successfully hide their crystals from the guards, then they succeed. And they won't have to go through the combat encounter. Even though I think it'd be a really cool combat encounter, because train fights are always really cool. Especially when you have wizards casting lightning bolt at the train, and it goes down in a 60-foot line. Anyways, next story beat, and this is just all assuming. A lot of this I can improv, and a lot of this I am going to improv. I don't want to overplan it, because one thing in my time is that you do not session build. Absolutely do not session build. You world build. And once you world build, then the story will come from. Anywho, so assuming they get the crystals to the faceless will then. And I know what I just said. I just said don't story build, and I am story building right now. I am setting a framework. This framework is fragile and meant to be broken. But I have some ideas of some story beats I would like to hit along the way, but aren't at all necessary. If the party chooses not to do this, and instead they choose to just scale the mansion, ignoring everything, and they get to the top of the mansion, get the Plague of Veridium, and GTFO before the first session's even done, congrats. However, if they go down this route, it'll be significantly easier. Faces will then help the party in one way or another. Retrieve plague from castle and poof away. That's the idea. We need a world build. Arla world building. This is the more important part, and this is the part that I want to spend the most time on. So, dictatorship. That is the big thing. Guards. Everywhere. This guy used to be a mercenary overlord, and now just became the Silver Mesa overlord. And so, he has a lot of military that he wants to put to good use. Doing so involves guards everywhere. Slaving the workforce. Lower sections of the Mesa are forced to work in sweatshops. There, enough said. Okay. Let's just Google this. Elements of a dictatorship. What is a dictatorship? Ooh, we got a little PowerPoint. Exciting. Oh, it's a video, actually. Well, let's watch this. I don't know if you guys can hear this. So, to play it safe, I'm actually going to unplug my microphone, and we're just going to turn the volume up. What is a dictatorship?
A dictatorship is a form of government characterized by the absolute rule of one person or a very small group of people who hold all political power. While a dictatorship is a form of government in some nations, just as monarchy or representative democracy is a form of government in others, dictatorships are seen by non-dictatorships as dangerous and cruel because of the way they tend to treat their citizens. You won't find a dictator who calls himself a dictator. Instead, dictators have ordinary titles such as president, emperor, great leader, and similar monikers.
I like that. He doesn't call himself a dictator. He is simply his name. He refers to himself as Lord Gardway. Actually, since he moved up in rankings, since he's no longer Lord Gardway. What's the step up? King Gardway? Yeah, probably King Gardway, because he got rid of King Ostergard. King Gardway. Cool. Okay, back to the video.
That's because dictator is a pejorative term assigned to certain rulers by other nations, particularly the developed nations of the West. That is, countries with thriving economies such as the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and many others. To be considered.
That's an incredibly biased opinion. I love it. So what does your campaign consist of? All right. So my campaign is known as Arla. Moab, Magic, Cowboys. That's how I can describe it simply. Currently, there is a dictator in charge of one of the main capital cities, and I am currently researching what exactly goes into a dictatorship. This is for a campaign of a bunch of DMs who switch off the mantle of DMing every 3 sessions or so. And so my sessions is going to involve various things, such as the nobility system, which might actually be crossed out because I chose to put this in a dictatorship. The nobility was a very big part of the campaign before, but this is a different part of the timeline, so I'm probably going to have to get rid of it. Magic Tech Cowboys, Moab, because I think Moab's really cool. Fight on a Train, because I think that's really cool. I want to show off what a dictatorship looks like and feels like from the common person. We got the Faceless, basically the resistance group that's trying to rise up to fight the dictatorship. Yeah, we got a lot of different things going on here. But the way the campaign works for our personal little DM group is we have this machine that tells us where to go, and this machine will teleport us to different worlds and say, get me this thing, and then I will let you go back to your home worlds. And then a week later, same thing will happen. We'll go to a new world, and more shenanigans will ensue. So in this world, a plot point of the previous campaign that I held here, it was a level 1 through 20 campaign, and I'm reviving this campaign world for 3 sessions for this DM thing, is the Plague of Eridum. It was a plague that was used by a hobgoblin race to take over most of the world until everyone was like, oh, we got to kill them. And they killed them. And this plague, basically, if it cuts you, you immediately contract it. It weakens you, and a year later, you'll die. And the goal of the party that's being teleported in here is to retrieve this plague for the machine. And so they must sneak into a mansion / castle, go up to his own personal quarters, and steal some of the plague. So that's the idea. And so I'm just going through a bunch of different things that will involve.
So yeah, I understand that was kind of confusing. If you have more questions, please let me know. I'm going to go back to this video about dictators. Let's try to finish this.
A dictatorship means that a country is known to be run by one person without any checks and balances on his power. Dictators make unilateral decisions that affect their countries without having to consult any other branch of government. That's because there's no other branch of government that is not controlled by the dictator. Human nature being what it is, dictators don't rise to power for the good of their nations, though they usually claim otherwise. They seize power to benefit themselves, their families, and their close political allies. Dictators.
So that's another interesting point that it brought up, and I'm going to bring up the point of Hitler and what makes Hitler an interesting person. No, he wasn't a good person. I'm not trying to say that. Hitler came to power because Germany was at one of its lowest points, and Germany had no financial stability. They had lost everything because of the Treaty of Versailles after World War I, and the country was destitute. And so what happened was Hitler rose to power, told everybody, I'm going to fix our country. And he did, actually. He made a ton of jobs and pumped the economy, and he did fix the country. So for my dictator, Lord Gardway, or as he is now being referred to as King Gardway, he actually does fix a lot of the problems. Sure, he slaves the workforce in a sense, but I don't want him to be generically evil, because nobody's generically evil. He actually fixes the place. The problem that was there before was corruption in the nobility. Several noble houses control Silver Mesa, and Gardway takes this and he fixes it by getting rid of the nobility. There's no more corruption. There's only him. And sure, all his choices might be corrupted, but it still fixes a lot of the problems that Silver Mesa had, in that it was indecisive, didn't have a military, it just had a bunch of mercenaries, which is where he comes from. He's the House of Mercenaries. What other problems does Silver Mesa have that he could have fixed? Maybe the poor. Maybe I want to get rid of the slaving the workforce part, because maybe that's not right. He is the Lord of the masses and gives jobs to everyone. Low-paying jobs, but jobs nonetheless. It's not immediately apparent that he's a dictator. I want that to be the case, actually. Sure, there are guards everywhere. Everything has a curfew. You speak out of line. Speak out of line, and you will be silenced. And even though that and that's why the Faceless, which was originally a group of people who supported the and that's why the Faceless, which is a group of people who originally supported the nobles who helped those who are poor, the Faceless have to turn against Lord Gardway, because Gardway has a personal vendetta against Bones, the leader of the Faceless. And so Bones has to remain in hiding, even though, he changes to fighting he changes from fighting corruption to fighting a dictator. So I guess that's something. Anyways, back to this.
Usually come to power through some kind of violent struggle, rather than the peaceful passage of power that we take for granted in the United States. In modern times, it's not unusual to hear news stories about.
What? It's dumb. All right, we're gonna plug this back in so that way you guys can hear me better.
I'm going to be ending this I'm probably going to be ending the stream here soon, but for now, enjoy it. Okay. What makes a dictator? Sure, that sounds interesting. Dictatorship. Wikipedia. They usually rule autocracies, governments with a single self-appointed leader and no governing body to check his power. Often dictators have totalitarian regimes, keeping their power through control of the mass media. Oh, I like that. Okay. They King Gardway controls the media. Yeah, this is some 1984 type stuff, 1984-esque. And if you have not read 1984, I highly recommend it. It's one of the best books of all time. King Gardway controls the media. It's not quite at the point that 1984 is. People still have a sense of personal autonomy, and they remember what it was like before he rose to power. However, through him controlling the media, he is able to create this sense of, if we step out of line, we're going to have people sent after to kill us. All right, I like that. Okay. So he controls the media, basically tells people how awesome he is, and that's why he wants Bones dead, because Bones speaks the truth. Bones says it's not okay, even though Bones is also a villain, technically. Many of these dictators foster cults of personality, a form of hero worship in which the masses are fed propaganda declaring their leader to be flawless, and in some cases divine or divinely appointed. The North Korean dictator Kim Il-sung, the father of King Jong-il, I don't know how to say those names, was essentially the sole subject of all forms of art created in the country. School children were taught to give thanks to Kim Il-sung, the source of all their blessings, as part of their training. Critics spoke of him as being megalomaniacal and extremely narcissistic. Saddam Hussein's Iraq was also full of statues, murals, posters, and paintings bearing his image. As with ancient Roman dictators, and the most recent example of Napoleon Bonaparte, it's often the case that a state of emergency power or coup d'état results in a dictator coming to power. That's what happened with my dictator. However, there have been dictators who got there legally. Adolf Hitler, for example, was appointed chancellor or head of government by President Paul von Hindenburg in 1933. After Hindenburg died, Hitler made himself Führer, a combination of president and chancellor. In addition to being political leaders, dictators often hold the highest military office in their state as well. Many dictators were distinguished military commanders prior to gaining absolute power. Manuel Noriega of Panama was a soldier his entire life. As leader, although never officially president, he was eventually declared chief executive of the country. He commanded its military and usually appeared in public in military uniform. Noriega's rule was an example of a military dictatorship that had a civil government with little actual power. Some military dictatorships are stratocracies in which the military directly rules the country. Military dictators often take control via coup d'état, but some evolve into the role. Saddam Hussein was originally the general of the Iraqi army and vice president. He gained more power as the president at the time. Ahmad Hassan al-Bakr became ill. Hussein officially became president in 1979. Alright, I am going to drink water again because this is my third cup and I am very thirsty. Be right back. I'm still streaming, but you can come in here and look too, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not saying okay.
That's right, thanks.
My dad was looking for his phone. No big deal. Let's see. A variation on the military dictatorship can be a junta, which is the typical military dictatorship in Latin America. This comprises a committee of military leaders who often engage in the same types of behaviors such as brutality and oppression as dictatorships have won. The country of Burma has been ruled by a junta, the State Peace and Development Council, since 1988. Once they're in power, it usually takes a lot for a dictator to step down. We'll look at elections, removals, and the death of dictators next. Darth Dictator. I like this. Another example of fictional dictator is Emperor Palpatine of Star Wars. Palpatine started as a senator in the Galactic Republic. When his home planet Naboo comes under a trade embargo, Palpatine asked of Chancellor Valorum for help. When no help was forthcoming, Palpatine managed to get Valorum voted out of office and secured the role of Chancellor for himself. He secretly had Naboo invaded, a huge political unrest, and ultimately granted him emergency power to make military decisions. Although Palpatine promised to return power to the Senate, he instead slowly transformed the Republic into an empire, and the office of Chancellor into the office of Emperor. His rule came to an end when his apprentice, Darth Vader, betrayed him. Classic. Alright. Oh, okay. I could go to more articles, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. Last article. Probably should have started with this one first. Dictatorship is an authoritarian form of government characterized by a single leader or group of leaders with either no party or weak party, little mass mobilization, and limited political pluralism. According to other definitions, democracies are regimes in which those who govern are selected through contested elections. Therefore, dictatorships are not democracies. With the advent of the 19th and 20th centuries, dictatorship and constitutional democracies emerged as the world's two major forms of government, gradually eliminating monarchies, one of the traditional widespread forms of government at the time. Typically, in a dictatorial regime, the leader of the country is identified with the title of dictator, although their formal title may more closely resemble something similar to leader. A common aspect that characterized dictators is taking advantage of their strong personality, usually by suppressing freedom of thought and speech of the masses, in order to maintain political and social supremacy and stability. Dictatorship and totalitarian societies generally employ political propaganda to decrease the influence of proponents of alternative governing systems. I do like propaganda, and I think that's something I should really hit on. That this is a country underneath the influence of propaganda. Types of dictatorships. Right after the end of the World War II, with a more relaxed political and social climate, several studies regarding the classifications of various forms of governments had been conducted. Among these has been intensely discussed by historians and political sciences the conceptualization and definition of the dictatorship form of government. Eventually, it has been concluded that a dictatorship is a form of government in which the absolute power is concentrated in the hands of a leader, commonly identified as a dictator, a small clique, or a government organization, and it aims the abolition of political pluralism and civilian mobilization. On the other hand, democracy, and so in the case of the faceless, the government has probably been ceaseless in trying to destroy the faceless. So, posters say to report the faceless to your local authority to protect the country. On the other hand, democracy, which is generally compared to the concept of dictatorship, is defined as a form of government where the supremacy belongs to the population and rulers are elected through contested elections. Okay, a new form of government that, in the 20th century, marked the beginning of a new political era and is commonly linked to this concept of dictatorship is known as totalitarianism. This form of government is characterized by the presence of a single political party, and more specifically by a powerful leader, a real role model, who imposes personal and political prominence. The two fundamental aspects that contribute to the maintenance of power are a steadfast collaboration between the government and the police force, and a highly developed ideology. Here, the government has total control of mass communications and social and economic organizations. According to Hannah Arendt, totalitarianism is a new and extreme form of dictatorship composed of atomized, isolated individuals. In addition, she affirmed that ideology plays a leading role in defining how the entire society should be organized. According to political scientist Juan Linz, the distinction between an authoritarian regime and a totalitarian one is that while an authoritarian regime seeks to suffocate politics and political mobilization, totalitarianism seeks to control politics and political mobilization. I understand the difference now. So basically, um, an authoritative regime will be like, nope, you are not allowed to use that printing press. Whereas a totalitarianism one says, you may use that printing press, but here are the rules. However, one of the most recent classification of dictatorships formulated do not identify totalitarianism as a form of dictatorship. In her study, she focused on how elite leader and elite mass relations influence authoritarian politics. Ged's typology identifies the key institutions that structure elite politics and dictatorships, i.e., parties and militaries. The study is based and directly related to factors like the simplicity of the categorizations, cross-national applicability, the emphasis on elites and leaders, and the incorporation of institutions, parties and militaries, as central to shaping politics. According to Barbara Gates, dictatorial government may be classified in 5 typologies: military, single party, personalist, monarchies, and hybrid dictatorships. Military dictatorships are regimes in which a group of officers hold power, determines who will lead the country, and exercise influence over policy. High-level elites and a leader are the members of the military dictatorship. Military dictatorships are characterized by rule by professionalized military as an institution. In military regimes, elites are referred to as junta members. There's typically senior officers. Yeah, we learned about juntas. All right. This is starting to wear on me. And it feels like a history lesson. All right. So, I think I've got it. Yeah, I like the idea of just dozens of posters everywhere. Maybe another poster that says like, "Can you cast spells? Report to your local, um, mad. Report to your local magic branch for more information on serving, uh, your king." Can you cast Matt? Are you a spellcaster? Report to your local magic magic licensing committee. Are you a spellcaster? Report to your local magic licensing committee for more information on how you can serve your king. Report to your local magic licensing committee for more information on how you can serve your king. Server, no. Serve your king. Alright. What are some other posters I can come up with? Hmm. Struggling to think of more things at the moment. What are some other elements of a dictatorship? Curfews. Guards everywhere in curfews, I guess. Other elements of a dictatorship. Thought control, which they do have. I guess one thing that I'm curious about is how did the faceless meet with each other? Because considering the environment, that is very difficult. The faceless are very powerful. Not the faceless, sorry. Dictatorship is very powerful and would make it pretty hard to go meet with other people. And so figuring out how to get them to meet is hard. Maybe for the party to meet the Faceless, the first NPC that they get close to will tell them about speaking. Will tell them about the Faceless, and this person will be a good person because most people are good. This is the most I have prepared for a session in like 2 years, and it is weird. I guess I shouldn't focus on this anymore. Okay, let's grab another post. No, stop. The Faceless. What is their creed? Their motto at the moment. I'm going to move this over to just a little bit. There we go. The Faceless. They demand freedom of speech, because that is the platform that they were originally based on. They demand political reform. They are the ones who are advocating for democracy, albeit violently advocating for democracy. So they want a better political system than the one that is currently exists, which is completely fair. They are sabotaging Guardway from the inside. Yeah. Okay. What else? So they are the definition of the ends justify the means. The ends justify the means. And to them, or at least to their leader, Bones, if it would take him to just like kill babies and puppies to get his vision of the world, he would do it. Like, no question. Like, okay, goodbye, puppy. Phew. You're dead. Okay, let's move on. I want my world now. He has a vision and he wants it. But he won't. He doesn't kill them because, oh, there's a puppy, I can kill it. He's got reasons for everything he does. That's the kind of villain that Bones is. Guardway were faced with a puppy. He probably wouldn't care about the puppy. Just trying to identify what kind of villains I have here. And when I first made this campaign several years ago, Guardway was a much more generic villain. He was the Emperor Palpatine, sort of, where he would outstretch his hand and be like, join the dark side. And if people did join the dark side, then they would, bad things would happen to them. They'd become Darth Vader. That was the kind of villain I made out of him. He is Emperor Palpatine. Bones, the leader of the Faceless, is a little more interesting. So, but the ends he wants is democracy. As simple as that. He wants democracy in a land of dictatorship. Okay. Let's see what else. I don't want the party to meet Mr. Guardway because he would frankly kill them. Vorpal Longsword is very deadly. I've been told that, at least. And so sneaking into the mansion is probably going to be their best bet. They're not going to be able to fight their way through the mansion. Granted, sneaking into the mansion is not going to be one of the party's strong suits since they have a meat bag, a 7-foot tall flesh golem. So figuring that out could be interesting. Alright. Yeah, the Faceless seem about done world building wise. What other aspects of the world do I need to world build? At the moment, nothing too pressing. So yeah, I think this is a very in-depth amount of stuff I've figured out for the campaign. It's way more prep than I've ever done before. I want to do a good job on this. So I might visit this later throughout the week and just throw more ideas on it. But as for the stream, I believe we are done. So I want to thank you all for coming. This was definitely not one of my more traditional streams. Normally I stream Magic, and I'll be starting to stream more Arena tomorrow. But as for today, thank you guys for coming. Hope you have a good night. Take care.